Charts and visualizations. What chart or graph works best for our data? The visualization create depends on the questions we are trying to ask, how we want to present and communicate our insights to others, and the properties of our data. Here, I've shown various types of charts. Let us discuss in detail. So, the first one is change over time. So, showing a change over time for measure is one of the fundamental categories of visualization. There are many options for exploring change over time, including line chart, slope chart, and highlight chart. So, if you want to represent the change over time, you can use any one of these charts. To show change over time, you need to know the value you expect to change and how to work with date fields in the any visualization tool you are trying to work with. So this chart can answer how has this measure changed in the past year? When did this measure change and how quickly has this measure changed? So these are all the change in the time. The next one is the correlation map. So correlation chart sometimes if you have two variables and are looking for the relationship between them. For example, how much lung capacity relates to endurance, or if you're looking for the relationship between the classroom size and the school graduation rate, then you can go with the correlation chart. So the correlation charts can be shown with a scatter plot or a highlight table, and you can use the visualization tool like any tool like a Tableau, or it might be the Google Studio, or it might be the Excel for creating this correlation. So this chart can answer like, are these two measures related, how strongly, how are these two measures related and how strongly these are related, and are some measures more related than others and how strongly related are these measures. So for this you can, to represent a correlation, you can use a heat map or a scatter plot. The next one is the magnitude. Magnitude shows the relative size or value of two or more discrete items. If you're comparing sales for different regions, you're looking at magnitude. So, magnitude chart includes bar chart, packed bubble chart, and line chart. So, what type of questions does the magnitude chart can answer? Which of these dimension members has the highest measure? So it can answer which measure has the highest measure, and are there any exceptional dimensions, and how large of gap is there between the lowest and the highest measures between these dimensions. Next chart is the deviation chart. Deviation chart shows how far a value varies from some baseline such as average or median. You can use bullet chart, bar chart, and combination chart to show deviation. You can also find the statistical significance of the deviation chart using a z-score. So, what types of question can this chart answer? How far from the norm does this measure stray? How important are the deviations in this measure? And is there a pattern to the deviation? So, these three questions we can answer with the deviation chart. Next is the distribution chart. When you're trying to find the frequency of events within a population, you're looking at a distribution. If you're showing the number of respondents to a survey by age or frequency of incoming calls by day, a distribution chart might be the best choice for you. So, distribution chart can be represented using a histogram, box plot, Pareto chart, and the population pyramid. We can answer these three questions with the distribution chart, that is, are events clustered around a certain probability? Which population group buys the most item? When are the busiest time works in our day as or a work day? So these are the various questions which can be answered by the distribution chart. Next is the ranking. Sometimes we want only to depict the magnitude of some value, but also the relative ranking of all the members of your dimension. This might be the top 10 salesperson or top 10 product which has been sold. So ranking chart are usually bar chart that integrate rank calculations, top end sets, or key progress indicator. So what are the various questions which can be answered is how many people are underperforming in the company, how many people are top performers in the company, and what is the value for our 10 lowest revenue properties. The next is the part of a whole. Part to a whole or a part of a whole chart show how much of a whole an individual part accepts. So part of a whole can be a pie chart, area chart, stack mark, or a tree map. You can represent it with all these, any one of these four visualization. And we can answer how much does this value contribute to the total? How does the distribution of cost change each year? And do different items contribute different amounts of sales? And the last two important type of visualization is a spatial and flow. So spatial charts can precise location and geographical pattern in our data, like showing the airport terminals with the most foot traffic or a map of all sales across the country or examples of the spatial maps. And the flow charts can be a maps that convey movement over time, such as Sankey diagrams. Flow maps include path over time and path between origin and the destination chart. So, what are the questions which we can answer with the spatial map? Spatial chart is which city has the highest sales? How far from the distribution center are our customers? How many people arrive at which gate? And with the flow chart, we can answer what is the longest shipping route? How long are people around the gates, like roaming around the gates? And what are the bottlenecks to traffic in the city? So there are various other charts which can be created with a combination of few more charts which we have discussed, but these are all the basic essential charts which we will be using to represent our data. We will see in detail every individual chart, how to design it and how to groom it.